So, hello everyone. We are going to start with this first article, which is Introduction to Classes and Objects. This is a video I'm recording just for the explanation, like while I'm reading this article. So, if you want to get through this article fast, you can definitely watch it, else, you can watch this particular video on YouTube. Okay, so let's start. So, object-oriented programming (OOP) is a programming paradigm that organizes code into objects which represent real-world entities. So we already know that there are two types of programming paradigm basically, which is functional and object-oriented. In functional programming, the code structure mainly focus on using of a lot of functions, like creating a lot of functions so that they can be used at multiple places. Whereas in the object oriented programming, the main focus is on the data aspect, like how the data flows between those functions, because as we know nowadays, data is the most important thing for any of the big companies or any small companies also. Like, data is the most important aspect, so we need to protect that, how it flows between different functions, it is how we have to secure it, and all of those things. So object oriented programming is this programming paradigm. It has main objects, it has code which will be organized into objects, and these objects basically represent the real world entities. Now, it basically allows developers to model complex systems by breaking them into smaller, manageable pieces. For example, instead of building something like very messy and at the end, yeah, it will work. But if we are going to break it down into smaller pieces and then build it step by step, that would be easier. That would be easier to modify further and scale further. So this is the basic idea. So the foundation of OOP lies in the classes and objects, which together enable the creation of structured, reusable and scalable code. So this is the main focus, is on the structured, reusable and scalable code. For example, we have a car manufacturing company. To produce cars, this company uses a design blueprint. The blueprint defines the structure and the functionality of the car. The blueprint is not itself the car, it is only a guide. So the actual car manufactured from this blueprint are the objects. So similarly, what we are seeing here is, for example, we have a car design on a big chart paper. So we have a kind of a blueprint. That blueprint is the class, and using that blueprint, when we model that, using that blueprint, when we build real world cars, like different cars which can be BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, etc. So these are the real world objects. So the blueprint can have different attributes, different kinds of methods. Like, methods will be the functionalities that the car can perform, and attributes will be something like what are the variables the car can have. For example, the number of wheels, the type of engine, etc. So, what is a car? Car is a blueprint for creating objects, as we discussed. It defines the properties, which are the attributes and behaviors that the object will have. It is kind of a template that will outline the structure and capabilities of the object. So, key characteristics of the class. Characteristics of a class will have attributes. Attributes is the state, which is the behavior. These are the variables defined within the class that describe the characteristic of the object. For example, here is the car class. These are the different attributes which define the characteristic of the car, which is the manufacturer, model, year. There can be multiple other attributes. This is just an example code. For example, we can have color as an attribute, number of wheels as an attribute, etc. So methods, what are the different functions a car can perform? This is the start, engine and display information. And constructor, we will read about this constructor detail in upcoming videos. But constructor is basically a special method which is used for initializing the attributes of a class. We will read about this further. So constructor has the same name as the class name. It does not have any return types. What basically happens is, Whenever the object of a class is instantiated, so the constructor is automatically called and the values are assigned to the object. So the values using this constructor are assigned to the object. So this is the special method. So here in the diagram, the same thing has been shown. This is the car class. These are the attributes. So minus sign represents the private attributes, plus represents the public. So this is a simple class which represents a car with basic information and operations. Now talking about what is an object. So object is an instance of a class. It basically represents a specific realization of the class blueprint with its own unique set of data. Yeah, for example, with the same blueprint, we can have multiple different values of attributes and functions. So basically, since we can have specific value for the attributes, we can create multiple objects. So yeah, so this is an object which is the instantiation of the class. So now what are the characteristics of an object? First of all, state. State is represented by the object's attributes. Behavior is defined by the methods that the object can execute. And identity is a unique reference to the object in the memory. So for example, here we can see this is the object that we have created. It is the car1 object. So car1 object is now this car1 will be referencing to the object in the memory, and this is the state of car1, which are the different attributes for the car1. The attributes values are this, and the behaviors can be shown using this function. This can be called, so the output will be printed. Similarly for car2, the values of the attributes would be different. Okay, so this is the diagram. So in this diagram we can see this is the main class. This main class is used to create the two car objects, and we are going to demonstrate the functionality in this. So this is the car class. Using this car class, we basically create the two car objects. Now the real world analogy is kind of a car manufacturing blueprint is a perfect analogy for understanding. So blueprint is the class. It specify the design and functionality of the car, but it does not represent the actual car. Similarly, cars which are the objects, so each car produced from the blueprint is unique, yeah, because it will have specific values of the different attributes. So but all the cars share the same general structure. So basically all the objects have the same blueprint, so that is why they all belong to the same class. So yeah, this is the car class, and these are the two different objects. So why to use classes and objects? For these different kind of benefits, which is reusability, modularity, abstraction, and scalability. Thanks.